What's up, guys? It's Isaac. That's Back Road Harley-Davidson here in Raleigh, North Carolina, with your pre-owned bike of the week, the 2019 Roadster. Now, if you're looking for a lean, mean, no-frills machine ready to just rock and aggressively attack the open road, this bike is for you. This bike right here might arguably be one of the sportiest Sportsters, and this bike is a ton of fun to ride. So stick around for your pre-owned bike of the week. You're probably very familiar with the Sportster line of motorcycles from Harley-Davidson, and the Sportster line is getting a lot of attention right now, especially with the phasing out of that classic Evolution motor and replacing it with the Revolution motor that we first saw in the Pan America and now the Sportster S. But the Sportsters have always been known for their rideability, how fun they are to cruise down the street on, and how quick they are off the line. Now, if you're looking for a bike that you can just cruise at 90 miles an hour for several hours at a time on the interstate, this bike might not quite be what you're looking for. But if you're looking for something that you can ride around town and do nice easy trips on, and you want something that's going to keep that adrenaline pumping, I would certainly recommend the Roadster. This bike has all the fun Sportster things, especially powered by that Evolution 1200cc motor. And with the Roadster, you're actually lifted up a little bit more, so it looks more aggressive and you can ride it a little bit harder. You've got dual brakes up in the front, a tachometer and easy view, a bright, loud red tank with all the black and chrome accents, and that pretty iconic Sportster sound. So let's get right into it. On this bike are Dunlop GT502 Harley-Davidson tires, and the rims here are pretty cool. It's kind of that Fox spoked look, where from a distance it kind of has that nice, iconic spoked look, but when you get really up close to it, you'll see that it's all metal, and these actually have a pretty cool design. And keeping this bike pretty sporty are those dual front brakes and inverted front forks. You've got a pretty standard halogen headlight, and right above that is the display. Now you'll see it's an analog tachometer showing you what this bike was made to do. You've got a digital speedometer to keep an eye at every now and then, and then you've got a clock, your digital engine speed readout, the miles on the bike, trip A, and then your trip B, all of which can be cycled through on the top part of the horn button. And the customization on this bike up here, it actually has a little bit taller bars, so you don't have to reach forward quite as much. And it does have these upgraded Harley-Davidson grips. Now, like I said, this bike is no frills, so it doesn't have a fuel gauge, but it does have the reserve light. You can see into the tank pretty well, so you can just pull the cap off and look down and see how much fuel you've got left. And you'll just have to keep doing the old school way of keeping track of how many miles it was since your last fill up. This bike does have a 3.3 gallon tank, so you're going to be able to get a pretty good ways out of it, but it isn't going to be something you're really going to want to go state to state with. But not saying you can't. And the graphics on this tank really tie this whole bike together. I mean, that bright, loud red with the Harley-Davidson XL 1200 and that kind of faded checker flag behind it. Below that gorgeous tank is the famous Evolution 1200cc motor. This is a lot of people's favorite air-cooled motor from Harley-Davidson. Pretty simple and a lot of fun to work with. You've got a nice air box with the Roadster stamped on the side, and then you've got those black and chrome pipes giving that iconic Sportster sound. This bike has mid-controls for the rider, helping you keep this bike right underneath you, and it's got a pretty nice looking seat, and it's a little bit slick on it, so that way it lets you kind of shift your weight on this bike for when you start moving it a little bit quicker. This bike is already set up to carry a passenger if you wish. You've got a little bit of room back here to throw somebody on and some discreet passenger pegs back there as well. So it can retain that cool stripped down look, but inevitably when somebody does end up wanting to go for a ride, you've got the ability on this bike to go ahead and deliver. This bike does have that higher rear suspension that does have an adjustable preload. And iconic to the Sportster, you do have your final drive belt and your pipes on the same side right there. Then at the end of this bike, you've got that chopped rear fender with a brake light turn signal combination on either side. And you've got that side-mounted license plate to keep that rear fender a little more tidy. So, showing you what this bike looks like with the rider on it. It's a really nice, good position for the bars, so that way it doesn't have me laying on the tank the whole time, but it's a good height where I can sit upright on it, and I can still get into it if I want to. The mid-controls are really well placed, so I definitely don't feel cramped on this bike, but I do feel like I've got really good control on it. I am a big fan of these rubber grips with all the little rivets on it, because I always feel like I can really keep my feet on these pegs a lot better. It does have the old school cruise control on this bike, and by that I mean it does have the set screw there on the throttle. I'm a big fan of analog tachometers, especially when they're right there front and center, so I can quickly see what the engine speed is on this thing and get a better idea of how much harder I can push it. Which, speaking of, let's go ahead and ride this thing. Going to go ahead and get all saddled up here on our 2019 Roadster. So pretty cool bike. Cool thing with the Sportster is that you're still just rocking the one key here. So this bike does have two keys, but So just rocking the key here. All right, go ahead and pop this guy in neutral here for you, and fire it up. And nice easy start, nice bright neutral light. You can see it's warming up here. Nice easy, starting up 1500 RPMs. Cool bike, cool bike. Do a quick walk around here. Yeah, that iconic Roadster sound, pretty hard to beat. But we're gonna go do a quick little test ride on this thing, and then we'll circle on back here at Tobacco Road. So go do a nice little loop. Let's see what we got. Put our leg over and let this old truck here come on by. And let's see, but yeah, so awesome cool Roadster. It is a little bit taller, so pretty easy to navigate and whip around if you like. But not used to mid controls, so you have to forgive me. And we'll whip it into this little parking lot right here. Doo-doo-doo. And you'll have to forgive me, I'm not used to mid controls, but I do appreciate them. So let's kind of get a nice easy roll on. So the Sportsters are cool because they're pretty quick right off the go. And they're pretty quick off the go. This is a nice taller bike. So you can see the RPMs right there. It's nice, up high. Really easy to whip around. Let's see here. So we're on a pretty bumpy stretch here, so it's a good place to test out the suspension. It's not the, we'll just say it's giving you very excellent feedback on these bumps here. I'm not going to jump the railroad track on this bike today. Whoop. Alrighty. But, go ahead and nice easy turn signals. Big fan of the Harley turn signals, because they let you a little easier to control, I think. Let's go ahead and get it. Definitely feels like a bike you can really lean. You know, I'm kind of crouched forward on it a little bit. Fourth gear, she's doing just fine. It's got a nice little gear indicator. That's always fun, so if you're in the top gear, you don't forget. Let's see. So it is a Sportster, so you can rev it a little bit harder here. So coming on down Centennial Parkway by the lovely NC State campus. I mean, not right there, but going on by. Now I will say, if you're going from an analog tachometer or an analog speedometer to tachometer, some people have a bad habit of watching the needle, thinking, so this one's might be a little bit more notorious because it's got the instead of like times 1,000 like most tachometers, it's times 100. So it looks like a speedometer from a distance, you know, it's 10, 20, 30, all that jazz. But it might throw you off. So you might be like, oh, I'm only going 30 miles an hour. Like, all right, but really we're pushing 55 kind of thing. Allegedly. So go ahead, bring it on in. So it does have that dual rotor up in the front. So it's going to be nice, quick, easy stopping. So since it is a Sportster, got a nice little nod here. See, people already appreciate it. I don't know who said people don't like Sportsters. she'll do what you want for sure. And we're on camera, so we'll stop. I'm kidding, we always stop. So go ahead and show you the bike. I mean, it looks gorgeous. Obviously, people already approve of it. It's just an awesome, fun little bike, you know, especially rocking around here in Raleigh, you know, especially rocking around here in Raleigh, you know, it's just such a fun little thing to drive around. And it'll keep up with traffic pretty, obviously. And, you know, Sportsters, like I said, you know, they're known a lot more for their kind of off the line speed, and you can do a ton of fun things with them. And so this one, you can lean pretty well. Fun traffic. All right, doo-doo-doo. I was just at the dealership. Nice. Cool. Yeah, so now we're cruising 4th gear, 50 miles an hour, 30,000 RPMs. You know, it's good, middle ground. Yeah, I've always been a big fan of the Sportster. You know, my first bike was a old 05 1200, and so it wasn't quite as cool as this one, but it did the job just fine. You know, it wasn't the best thing on long highway trips, but rocking around Raleigh and that sort of thing, I mean, it was a blast. And it could keep up on the highway too, all right. It was old, carbureted, nothing like 5 a.m. mornings at 20 degrees and getting that whole thing started right there, making everybody happy for sure. So I mean, it's but the riding position, you know, it's, you know, kind of when you sit back a little bit, it's pretty comfortable as well too. I mean, you can definitely spend a good bit of time on this thing. The seat is a little bit firm, which is a little bit firm with a nice little bit of a back wall, so you don't really feel like you're going to slide off of it or anything. Yeah, so I mean, just riding in traffic with it is nice. Also, with a higher, like back there at the stoplight, you know, a higher bike with mid controls is so much fun, because if you're like in stop and go traffic, then one advantage to that is you don't have to like constantly bring your feet too far. You know, it's just a slight pickup and then you're back on the bike. So if you're, you know, kind of in that stop and go traffic, then you can just work with it a lot better. And now this is probably like the hardest leaning we're gonna do this whole trip. Woo! And it leans amazingly, I will say. Do a nice little merge into traffic. Not really. This is our turn. Let this scoot on by. Nice little stop right here. Ooh, it's a little fun road stuff over here. and welcome back. Here we are. So, super fun bike, real easy to rock around, and pretty quick. Ooh. Oh, somebody just got themselves a new Fat Bob. Awesome bike as well. A little bit beefier than this guy, but you can do quite a bit with it. And go and throw this bike on back where it goes, but thanks for riding along with us. Appreciate it, sir. Here we are. So that's your pre-owned bike of the week, the 2019 Roadster. If you're looking for an awesome stripped down bike that's aggressive styling, nice and loud, and you love red, then this bike is for you. This bike would work fantastically as an everyday bike or your new bar hopper. It would look fantastic parked outside any establishment, and would look even better with you on it on the open road. So if you want to come see this bike for yourself, be sure to come see us here at Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson in Raleigh, North Carolina. As always, thank you for watching, and we hope to see you soon.